welcome my dear Raishwa students. Today I am with you once again for the fourth time discussing an explanation on the meaning of refugee blues. Okay, so let us see what is the meaning of refugee blues and what is the message. So, meaning already we have discussed. The message, as we know, the poem dramatizes the condition of Jewish refugees from Nazi Germany in the years before World War II, especially the indifference and agony they faced with seeking asylum in the democracies of that period. So it was very difficult for them. So Refugee Blues is about the plight of Jewish refugees in the 1930s, and when the poem was written, as I have mentioned earlier, millions of Jews were trying to flee Nazi Germany. However, most countries had strict quotas on Jewish immigrations, and as a result, most of the Jews were sent back from those countries. Okay, so let's once again listen to the poem before we begin.
Say this city has 10 million souls. Some are living in mansions, some are living in holes. Yet there's no place for us, my dear. Yet there's no place for us. Once we had a country and we thought it fair. Look in the atlas and you'll find it there. We cannot go there now, my dear. We cannot go there now. In the village churchyard there grows an old yew. Every spring it blossoms anew. Old passports can't do that, my dear. Old passports can't do that. The consul banged the table and said, if you've got no passport, you're officially dead. But we are still alive, my dear, but we are still alive. Went to a committee. They offered me a chair, asked me politely to return next year. But where shall we go today, my dear? But where shall we go today? Came to a public meeting. The speaker got up and said, if we let them in, they will steal our daily bread. He was talking of you and me, my dear. He was talking of you and me. Thought I heard the thunder rumbling in the sky. It was Hitler over Europe saying they must die. We were in his mind, my dear. We were in his mind. Saw a poodle in a jacket fastened with a pin. Saw a door opened and a cat let in. But they weren't German Jews, my dear. But they weren't German Jews. Went down the harbour and stood upon the quay. Saw the fish swimming as if they were free. Only 10 feet away, my dear. Only 10 feet away. Walked through a wood, saw the birds in the trees. They had no politicians and sang at their ease. They weren't the human race, my dear. They weren't the human race. Dreamed I saw a building with 1,000 floors, 1,000 windows and 1,000 doors. Not one of them was ours, my dear. Not one of them was ours. Stood on a great plain in the falling snow. 10,000 soldiers marched to and fro, looking for you and me, my dear, looking for you and me.
So, my dear, as you have listened to the poem, The Refugee Blues by W.H. Auden is a poem about harsh realities of war, including themes such as loss, suffering, and change. Auden and Owen explore the theme of loss in order to portray the wastefulness of war through the use of repetition, imagery, and emphasis. So, what is the meaning of refugee? A refugee is someone who has been forced to flee his or her own country because of persecution, war, or violence. Okay. So the poem is about refugees. So, a refugee has a well founded fear of persecution for reasons of race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. So, refugee blues is such a kind of poem, and we will see some more about the poem. Let us watch to a documentary.
Hello, this is a screencast to help you understand the poem Refugee Blues by W.H. Auden. The social and historical context of the poem. This poem was written in 1939, at the start of World War II. At this time, the Nazis were empowering Germany. The Nazis were against the German Jews and made life extremely hard for them, so they sought refuge in other countries. The title blues relates to music, which is often emotional. It could also refer to the color blue, which is often associated with the feeling of something being troubled or upsetting. By placing refugee in front of the word blues, it suggests the troublesome feeling and the unhappiness felt by the refugees themselves. Here are the first two stanzas of the poem. Say the city has 10 million souls. Some are living in mansions, some are living in holes. Notice how the last two words of the first two lines rhyme. However, the last line and the last word of it does not rhyme with any of the following words above. This causes a connection to be created and broken. Some are living in holes and some are living in mansions. This suggests that the rich are living in wealthy and affluent areas, but animals are living in holes. However, the refugees have nowhere to go. This creates a sense of isolation. The refugees are being abandoned behind. Once we had a country and we thought it fair. Look in the atlas and you'll find it there. Talks about the past and how life was much better. They can't go back anymore as the country has become corrupt and enough damage has been done. In the village churchyard there grows an old yew. Every spring it blossoms anew. The reference to nature suggests that all the other living things are coming back to life again and the cycle of life goes on. Old passports can't do that, my dear. Old passports can't do that. Suggests that old passports can't bring back a refugee's life so they can start afresh. A passport holds such importance in society as it controls a person's life, as it is mentioned a lot in this poem. The consul banged the table and said, "If you've got no passport, you're officially dead." Someone who's supposed to help is pushing the refugees aside. Emotive language of "you're officially dead" suggests the harshness of the people who are supposed to help and give advice. This makes the reader feel sympathetic towards the refugees. Went to a committee, they offered me a chair, asked me politely to return next year. Verbs such as asked also emphasize the fact that there's no help for the refugees. But where shall we go today, my dear? Where shall we go today? Suggests that the refugees aren't completely hopeless, as they are still trying to reach out for someone to help them. Came to a public meeting. The speaker got up and said, "If we let them in, they will steal our daily bread." The speaker demonizes the refugees as thieves. Biblical language and terms could incite the ordinary people to hate the Jews. Thought I heard the thunder rumbling in the sky. It was Hitler over Europe saying, "They must die." The metaphor thunder is used to describe Hitler's speech. This suggests that Hitler's words were spreading fast throughout Europe, giving the refugees no chance or hope for a better future. We were in his mind, my dear, we were in his mind. The tone of Hitler's words used before are also very bitter. Saw a poodle in a jacket fastened with a pin. Saw a door opened and a cat let in. Suggests that animals are being treated better than the refugees. The refugees are not being let in, but pets are, which creates a sense of not belonging for the refugees. They are being degraded by ordinary people. But they weren't German Jews, my dear. They weren't German Jews. Emotive language is used here. This evokes sympathy from the reader, as the German Jews are being discriminated because of who they are. They are uncared for by the rest of the society. Went to the harbour and stood upon the quay. Saw the fish swimming as if they were free. Only 10 feet away, my dear, only 10 feet away. Animal imagery is used here. The speaker blames the Nazi regime for creating an environment in which natural things act far more better than humans. Walked through a wood, saw the birds in the trees.
They had no politicians and sang at their ease. This suggests that politicians are the people that are corrupting the society and making it a horrible place to live in. They weren't the human race, my dear. They weren't the human race. Suggests that all the other living things are capable of living in peace, except for humans. These are the last two stanzas in the poem. Dreamed I saw a building with 1,000 floors, 1,000 windows and 1,000 doors. Not one of them was ours, my dear, not one of them was ours. A cruel contrast is made between the refugees and the ordinary people. It suggests that everybody has a home except for the German Jews. It demonstrates isolation for the refugees, who are the German Jews. Stood on a great plain in the falling snow. 10,000 soldiers marched to and fro. Looking for you and me, my dear, looking for you and me. The use of pathetic fallacy by the poet. Auden uses weather to describe the isolation and emptiness felt by the refugee. Snow is white, which could connote the blankness and confusion felt by the refugees as they didn't do anything wrong. 10,000 soldiers marched to and fro, looking for you and me, my dear, looking for you and me. This suggests that the Jews can be easily caught in a plain of snow, as everything around them is white, so the soldiers can easily spot them. 10,000 is a hyperbole used to show the odds against the refugees themselves and how easily they will be caught. The last two stanzas of the poem represent hope and also emptiness, as a refugee dreaming about a building with 1,000 floors represents hope for a better future. However, that hope is completely shut down by the emptiness and also felt by standing in a great plain of falling snow, and also the 10,000 soldiers coming and looking for them. That is the end to the screencast. Thank you.
So, dear students, that was the end of another explanation in the series of explaining you by myself and also through other videos about refugee blues. रेफ्यूजी ब्लूज़ में आपने देखा कैसे यहूदी जो जूस थे वो हिटलर से परेशान होकर, तंग होकर अपनी जान बचाकर दूसरे देशों में छिपना चाहते थे, रिफ्यूज चाहते थे, शरण लेना चाहते थे, लेकिन वहाँ भी उन्हें ढंग से शरण नहीं मिल पा रही थी हर एक को। उनको कह रहे थे, टाल रहे थे कि अभी आना, अगले साल आना, ऐसा ऐसा। तो ये था हमारा रेफ्यूजी ब्लूज़ के बारे में एक बार फिर explanation. Hope you have all understood the poem. It's a very, very pathetic poem. ठीक है, बड़ी दुखद घटना का ऊपर है. So goodbye, my dear students. Take care of yourself. Thank you very much for watching. And that's the end of the today's lecture.